Salutations, Stoveminders. We have made it to November 24th, 2020. Good morning, Tuesday morning. A lot I can say about this year in general, baseball or otherwise, but we're in the hot stove now, okay? The stove is on at the lowest possible setting. Offseason began about 3 weeks ago, and so far it's been a cold, wet month. However, there are a lot of new free agents, euphemistically, plenty of declined options and designations for assignment across the league as MLB franchises tighten their belts, tighten their purse strings, and tighten their bootstraps in consequence of low profits shut up. Low profits in a short, fanless season. A lot of money lost, a lot of money not going to the players anymore. Seen a lot of staff cuts in some organizations, non-baseball related. Some big names, in fact, got cut. Veterans like Brad Hand, John Lester, Carlos Santana, and Edwin Encarnacion. And even younger guys like Hunter Renfroe and Colton Wong got let go. And all those guys will now have to take pay cuts going into 2021. So, difficult financial circumstances coupled with the uncertainty of the upcoming 2 seasons might make roster construction and closing a deal more difficult for front offices around the league, and it might make trades seem unlikely. Why would you trade away assets in this market, in this climate? But who knows? Who knows? We've heard a few murmurs on the rumor mill regarding the likes of Francisco Lindor, of course, Nolan Arenado, no surprises there, Chris Bryant, God willing, and even Blake Snell. Most recently, yes, Snell. I mean, that would be tough. You're on a roll in the World Series. You get pulled. Your team loses because of it, and now that team's gonna trade you. Cursed Blake Snell, punished Blake Snell. A storyline to watch. Gamers rise up. He's a big streamer. If you didn't know. But as for the biggest names to watch closely this winter, the gentleman poised to sign the wealthiest contracts of the 2021 hot stove, I think those top deals will go to JT Realmuto, at least as far as position players are concerned, and Trevor Bauer in terms of pitchers. Realmuto is the rare all-around good catcher. Just a prized commodity that can hit well and hold it down behind the plate. He's been quite durable in his career so far. There's a reason the Phillies gave up their top pitching prospect, Sixto Sanchez, to the Marlins to acquire Realmuto, all for naught, as this Phillies team has been very underwhelming. They've been pushing to re-sign Realmuto, or they were during the season. Bryce Harper was trying to convince him to stay. He's like, "Come on, man, I signed a 13-year contract. Don't let me do this alone, man. I can't stay in Philly forever." Yeah, I mean, he'll have to ply his trade on the open market. Smart move. Who knows? He might come back to Philly if they got the money. And as for the pitchers, only one was better than Bauer in 2020 in all of the major leagues, and that was his former teammate Shane Bieber. But Bowie did win the NL Cy Young Award. He was very good. He is a one-man media machine with the mound command to back it up. I expect both those guys to land salaries north of $20 million a year. Besides those big fish, top free agent pitchers include the ready, steady Masahiro Tanaka, the veteran you want starting a do-or-die Charlie Morton, and breaking news this morning, Charlie Morton is going back to Atlanta. He was drafted by the Braves in 2002. He toiled in the minors for years. He made his debut wearing a Braves hat in 2008. If you look up Charlie Morton rookie card, you will see a fresh-faced, big-necked person that is Charlie Morton. He looks a lot like Blake Snell. Can I just put that out there? Like, I thought it was really funny that those were the top two starters in that rotation, and they kind of looked alike. They had similar physiognomy. But anyway, yes, Morton, he had his option declined by the Rays. Tough to swallow for Rays fans, on top of other difficult things to shove down your throat. But yeah, as far as financial circumstances, not super surprising. But there he goes, and he's going back to Atlanta, an organization that's on the rise, that was specifically looking for veteran starting pitching. They will get that in Morton. He's 37. He's still doing it. He's still good. He's gotten better with age. He's a fine wine pitcher. And as I mentioned in a little preamble, I don't have the stats right now on this because it was breaking news and I wrote this script last night. But he's like a sub-2 ERA in must-win games in the postseason. Like that's exactly who you want. Anyway, back to the guys who are still available. You got the Lord of Ladner, British Columbia, James Paxton. And more affordable options include the ever-underrated Jake Odorizzi, Taijuan Walker, who looked like a late bloomer in Toronto this past season as he finally turned that corner, maybe. Alex Wood, Mike Minor, Jay Happ, and bounce-back candidate Chris Archer is finally on the free agent market. My cat's just going to yell during the background of this. You're just going to have to deal with it. Well-seasoned options include Cole Hamels, John Lester, Adam Wainwright. There was talk of him possibly going to Atlanta, but they got Morton and they also got Drew Smyly. Yeah, Braves were really active early last year as well, I remember. In 2019, in November, they were like, let's get Hamels, let's get Will Smith, let's get Chris Martin, let's get the other band guys. And they're active early again. Shout out Alex Anthopoulos, general manager of the Braves, formerly of the Blue Jays. He knows what he's doing. Where was I? Right. Wainwright, Rick Porcello, Jose Quintana, all available along with Rich Hill, a.k.a. Dick Mountain, who publicly refuses to retire. And I hope he gets a job so he doesn't have to fight security guards at New England Patriots games anymore. In the relief department, teams could score the greatest Australian to ever play in the majors, Liam Hendricks. I haven't been around any Australians in a while. I used to be really good at that accent. When I said, oh my goodness, when cat jumps on the couch. The aptly named Brad Hand, I was really surprised to see him get let go by Cleveland. He's a really good closer. Kirby Yates, who a couple years ago was like relief pitcher of the year, but did not do well in 2020. Alex Colomé, Jake McGee, Sean Doolittle, who was battling some injuries this past year. Jeremy Jeffress, who was great for the Cubs in 2020. Hope we can re-sign him. And Trevor Rosenthal, from laughingstock to suck my cock, was alive and thriving in San Diego this summer. He's back. Now, for position players on the market, I've compiled a little roster here, position by position. Who would I, quote-unquote, start in my all-free agent team? Well, I'd have Trevor Bauer starting pitching, and then I'd take him out the first inning just to spite him, and I'd put in James Paxton because he's Canadian. But anyway, catchers. Real Muto, obviously number one. But if you can't afford Real Muto, and fair enough, you could land a future Hall of Famer in Yadier Molina. And it's going to be weird to see him in anything other than the St. Louis Cardinals uniform. But it might happen, and I hope he leaves the division so the Cubs don't have to deal with him anymore. But yeah, Molina's going to the market. He can still play despite his age. First base, a little thin this year. Best guy available might be Carlos Santana, who I mentioned a little earlier because he either got DFA'd or got his option declined by, guess who, the Indians. One of those players who really struggled in 2020, Santana, but he's a solid, durable lineup spot when he's at his mean, and he still drew low walks like a motherfucker in 2020, so he can at least do that for you. He's got the chain. You know who he is. Second base, DJ LeMahieu. Will he finally get what he's owed? Forever underrated. Should have won the AL MVP 2019. I've long been a fan of LeMahieu. They call him the machine because he's just that consistent of a hitter. AL batting crown holder, can play all around the infield. Will he get his comeuppance? And further down the second base depth chart, you got Tommy La Stella, who, how about this guy from feisty little bench dude in Chicago, broke out over the last couple years with the Angels. He can play anywhere in the infield. But if you're looking for a defense, if you want a gold glove at second, look no further than Colton Wong. And I'll also mention Cesar Hernandez and Jurickson Profar, coming off good seasons, both of those guys, as far as the middle infield, because shortstop is the deepest position this winter. Who would I start? I would have to go with Marcus Semien. Hella underrated over his time in Oakland. But you also got Didi Gregorius, another steady option up the middle of the field and the lineup. And again, if defense is a concern, you cannot do better, period, than Andrelton Simmons, 4-time Gold Glover, one of the best defensive players in baseball at all. If you want to throw a curveball, coming out of Korea, getting posted tomorrow, the 25th of November, Ha-Seong Kim, 25-year-old. He's found all-around success in the KBO, at the plate, on the bases, in the field. Interesting to see where he will sign and how Ha-Seong Kim adjusts to MLB pitching. Heading over to the third base, it's all about Justin Turner. Finally got his ring last month, but not before testing positive for COVID and being sequestered inside Globe Life Field or Park until a Dodgers victory set him free on the field, still down with the COVID. It was a apt storyline to finish off that World Series. But Turner's 35, so a short deal will be in order, though he brings a lot of value with how well he's played over his time in LA and with his experience, his leadership. No surprise if he stays in Dodger blue. Quickly swinging by DH. Now, there's no word yet from MLB whether or not the NL will keep the designated hitter in 2021. And that's big. That's a huge piece of any information of information for any NL front office. I got the coffee, I got the cat, I'm amped up. Because if you're trying to do roster construction, you really have to factor in keeping a lot of guys, keeping a guy, maybe he doesn't fit around the field. You just don't have an opening for him. There's a logjam at this guy's main position, but you have the designated hitter spot. Okay, cool. But if you don't have the DH spot, maybe you got to cut ties with the guy. Maybe you're not going to pursue him. So that's a huge deal, and I think that's one thing also holding up this market from developing quickly, especially for position players. I mean, look at this. The only 3 free agents of note who have signed, they're all pitchers. And in the next video, I'll break those 3 deals down a little more. But anyway, if you're in the AL, you really need a DH. Nelson Cruz. He's 40, yeah, but he can only hit home runs. That's all he does. He's just a pure slugger, one of the best of the past decade. I'd love to see him keep playing. Love what he does. And finishing off in the outfield, the first platoon, left, center, right, I don't care. A couple of ex-Astros hitting the market. George Springer and Michael Brantley. Surely Houston wants to re-sign at least one of them, so keep an eye out. Springer, I would say, is more valuable, all things considered. Brantley's now 33. He's played more DH than outfield last year with the Astros. Has a history of injuries, but both of those guys are all-star bats. Both of them will, I think, get a good contract. Plus, there's Marcell Ozuna, who did great in his one-year stint in Atlanta. He would, I guess, be the third best, or I've seen some rankings place him ahead of Brantley. But he'd be in my starting outfield for the all-free agent team. Second stringers, still pretty good. Hey, outfield is deep. If you're, again, looking for defense, Jackie Bradley Jr. Not a mediocre hitter either, mind you. And directly opposite JBJ is a home run specialist in Jock Peterson. Rounding out the second tier of outfield free agents is the reviled Ryan Braun. Boo, 36 years old. Could suit a first base DH role, especially if only the AL has the DH next season. Would be wild to see him without a Brewers jersey, and I will miss him because I did enjoy the boos at Wrigley Field and Miller Park whenever he stepped up against the Cubs. But who knows? Maybe we won't even fucking have fans next season. I don't know. A little bit of news coming out of Major League Baseball where Manfred did say that MLB would be a little more aggressive in trying to get fans into the stadium. And I mean, you could do it. You could do it. They do it in Europe with soccer. They do it in baseball in Asia. They do it in football in America. You just got to keep it at like a 30%, 25% gate. Can't let everybody in, and you got to have all these dumbass rules. But you get to watch a ball game, and you don't have some asshole in front of you, right? Anyway, that about rounds up the 2020-21 Hot Stove preview. I let you know who the biggest names in the free agent market are, as well as a couple of trade candidates. And, of course, just a quick explanation of what's going on with the market. It's going to be slow, and it's going to be low as far as money for that middle and lower class of free agents. Teams just don't have the money to blow this season. We might see a lot of one-year deals, as we have seen so far. Just 3 signings, as I said, all one-year deals, all to pitchers, because 2022, or after the 2021 season, collective bargaining agreement is over, and we're going to a strike. Yeah, so part 2, I will go over those signings and mention qualifying offers, managerial changes, front office news. You know it. Stoveminders. Keep mind in the stove. You never know what's going to happen. I woke up this morning and Charlie Morton is signed. Now I have to edit this thing. But, yeah, goodbye.